Hello everyone, hi guys, John. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday. We are back again with a Fanatics Weekly Review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auctioned off this week. As always, if you enjoy the videos, make sure to leave a like. So hopping on over to the site this week, starting at $130, we begin with none other than Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo next to each other. What kind of irony is that? 126 for an optic out of 2023 and a PSA 10. And a 2016 Select Multicolor for 132. Also have an Antonio Candreva here, 1/1 from Serie A Select, goes for 132. Above that, Neymar here for 138 and a PSA 10, which seemed like an okay price. There's Messi's and Ronaldo's that were going fairly cheap. They weren't 10s, but they were like inserts from the same Select set that I don't think made this auction block. Next to that, speaking of Messi and Ronaldo here with a Nobility Marquee Moments and a CSG 8.5 going for 138 there. This sort of just stuck out to me as being low compared to where these have been. Now, of course, it's CSG, so I'm sure that plays a factor, but I do remember the days early before these really had much of a run-up where these cards were sitting at, 20 to 40 bucks raw, and you're probably not getting an 8.5 on a raw card, so like the 138 isn't a crazy price at this point in time, I wouldn't think. Above that, Heinerle here, Pele for 138 seems like a decent price if you just want to get yourself one. Of course, a SGC 1 is not going to be high grade or even med grade, but nonetheless, for 140 doesn't seem all that shabby. We have a copper Pele Mbappe, Topps Museum here for 144, along with a match-worn 2012 Futera patch from Cristiano Ronaldo here. PSA 6 goes for 144. Above it, National Pride Messi, PSA 10 for 144. From my understanding, these are a case hit, so decent number there. I mean, nothing too crazy though. We have a Trent Alexander-Arnold manga for 144 next to it, along with a 2011 PSA 8 of this Panini Portugal de Oro with Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. We saw a 10 go recently for like multiple thousands. It was a super high mark. So PSA 8 at 144 doesn't look great, or it does look great, depending on which side of the aisle you're sitting on. Above it, we have a Cesar Rodriguez Alvarez. This did a little Wickian, and this was the leading scorer for Barcelona prior to Messi breaking that record. So pretty interesting to note that. 1.5 for 150 doesn't seem crazy, but nonetheless, next to it you have a 2014 Blue and Red Wave Cristiano Ronaldo World Cup Aerial Assault for 150, along with a Frankie de Jong PSA 9 Kaboom for 150. We have a Greeling Zamora here. This is a color version. There's black and white as well. They also have like a sort of in-between, I think, as well. There's a lot of stuff going on with Greeling, but a PSA 3 is not too shabby. 156 on that one seems like a decent number if you're trying to get a Zamora Greeling. Wonder Kids Lamine Yamal for 156, along with Christian Pulisic for 162 here. I did look this up. This is pretty low compared to where it's been in the past, but at the same time, it is a third-year Chrome Gold in a 10 for 160, which feels to me like an okay number. Above it, we have Luka Modric's sticker here, sort of his well-known early sticker. Of course, there are earlier ones, but this would be sort of the easily attainable one. PSA 10, a little harder, but still doable. 168 on that one. A Velarde Diego Maradona for 168 and a PSA 9. Pop 1 of 11, one higher. We have a Topps Chrome Mojo Lionel Messi from 2024. This is, I guess it just says Mojo. I thought Mojo was the design. I guess it's also a Mojo design, but that's just kind of weird. Throwback card with the Barca days. Above it, Lamine Yamal 2024 Topps and Now Gold Foil out of 50 goes for 180, along with a green orange wave Lionel Messi for 180 and a Ronaldinho patch auto for 180 from Leaf. 2020 Black Crystal Palace League Atmosphere. That 1 of 1 goes for 180. We have a Lionel Messi Futera patch here for 186. That's also game worn as well. And then finally in this row, a 2016 Donruss Cristiano Ronaldo Gold PSA 10 for 186. This is the first one I do believe I looked up in this auction block, and that's a Kata Greeling that goes for 186. If we look here, this one goes for 186. The last one in a 1.5 did 252. Now this is the smaller version. There's small and medium. I don't believe there's a large, but I don't know. Medium would imply the existence of a large, I would think, but nonetheless. In terms of comms, PSA 2 back in the day, PSA 2 2.5s get up near about $300. Seems within the ballpark ultimately in terms of pricing. I do generally like the medium version of the Greelings just because you got a little bit more card to work with there. We have a Zuban Pottinger here, so this is sort of an in-action shot. There's also a more probably notable portrait of Pottinger as well. This in a PSA 5, which is a pretty good grade, goes for 186 there. Next to it, a 66 FHER Beckenbauer and Bobby Moore. I've seen these before, but I don't think I've seen a panel of them, so that was a little notable, I thought. PSA Pop 1 of 1, and that goes for $186, which, if you're looking for rare Bobby Moore / Beckenbauer stuff, that doesn't seem like a terrible price to me. I will say I'm not sure on the distribution method, so I'm not sure if those are, more accessible than they would seem, but generally panels are going to be hard to track down. Above it, we have a Father's Day Cristiano Ronaldo Cracked Ice out of 25, going for $192. A Merlin FA Premier League Cristiano Ronaldo PSA 7 for $192, and then finally a pink Lamine Yamal PSA 8 for $192. I looked up some other Lamine Yamals. Okay, I did close it, but we got the Ronaldo Merlin here. So these actually don't sell all that often, which is kind of surprising. I just looked up the sticker number, and I only got 13 results, so I can sort of understand why a PSA 7 is going for $200. Before this, Raw's going anywhere from 30 to 150. The 30 is pretty beat. I mean, if you want to go in and look at it, I mean, the corners are rounded. I'm sure it's beat in terms of surface, too. It's not going to get a 7. So sometimes the Raws are anywhere from 30 to, a little over 100. Last PSA 6 did 67. Who is this? What grader? MGC, I think. Yeah, they did 45 for a 6. So an 8 in 2022 did 234. So comparatively, it seems like a decent price, but at the same time, one hasn't sold this high of a grade on public auction in like 2.5 years, so sort of understandable. Above it, a Panini sticker rookie of Thierry Henry, PSA 7, the Spanish version. I do believe this goes for $198, which was up a little bit. These have been as low as $150 in the past, so that's a little bit of a boost. Heung-min Son out of $125 for $200, along with a Xavi out of $400 patch. I thought that was a decent deal. I mean, I don't like a blank patch either. I mean, the one-color patch isn't all the best, but at the same time, an out of 400 card with a patch going for $200, PSA 9, Pop 1 of 11, one higher. I mean, that's not easy, and the colors in this card you would assume are going to be hard in the future to get those sorts of grades because they're probably just hurt a little bit. I probably should know better if this is game worn or not. I want to say it's like player or training worn, but I could be wrong on that. I'm also not great at Spanish, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can understand generally what the card's saying, also given the context clues, but I can't speak on if that's game worn or not. We got a Mojo Lamine Yamal up here. This is a rookie PSA 10 for 204. You have a Panini Barca Lionel Messi from 2005 and a 9.5 for 216. Don't see those all too often, so that's probably a fun one if you're a Messi guy. BGS stickers always, little something to be weary about, but at the same time, it's not like anyone's doing anything crazy with these, you wouldn't think. 2009, David De Gea, PSA 10 goes for $228, which is a fun one to see go. Pop 1 of 3, so you don't see that all too often. Above it, we got a Madrid row here, a couple Cristiano Ronaldos. Take your pick between the Select Patch PSA 10 and the Refractor PSA 10. I'd probably take the Refractor just because I'm not a huge patch guy. Also, I'd assume that this patch is not affiliated with anything, maybe player worn at best. Yeah, player worn, so, I mean, he touched it, he grazed it maybe at one point in time. I like the Refractor. I'd probably take that $240. I think that's a decent price, though. Those have definitely been lower at times. Next to it, this was a weird one that sort of just, made me kind of blink and look at it a few more times. An out of 3 purple X-Fractor. It's just a crazy parallel to have. I haven't seen many of these, probably because they're out of 3, but man, what an awful parallel. People don't really like purple, and purple in 2017 was one of the most, it's the most available parallel, other than silvers and whatnot. So you're taking a parallel people already don't care about in purple. You're making it an X-Fractor and out of 3. It's just got so many question marks on it. If you're a Modric guy and you'd like his rare cards, I could understand wanting this, but at the same time, the parallel, it kind of makes me sick, but nonetheless, $252 on that. Christian Pulisic sticker here. I think we saw one of these go recently. I'm not sure if that's a rerun or someone just selling another one, but $264 on that. Feels decent for a sticker. Next to it, Cristiano Ronaldo. This is first year of Top Showcase. So for me, people like the Chrome. I like the Chrome. I get it. But Top Showcase is sort of, I guess, the first Topps Champions League product with parallels and all that good stuff. Out of 99, goes for $264, Pop 1 of 1. I thought it was a decent deal. I'm not much in the ballpark of trying to put those parallels together, but if you were, $260 for Pop 1 of 1 doesn't feel bad at all. Now, of course, I'd imagine more of those could be had in the future. I don't think it's going to stay a Pop 1 of 1, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to explode by any means. We have a Neymar Kaboom next to it for $288, a PSA 9. Finally, in page 1 here, we got 2 pages. Top of page 1, I didn't win this one. I bid a little bit. I probably went to 150, 200, somewhere in that range. But this one up to 288 on the Rise Galactic Christian Pulisic. I like the Galactics. PSA 10 super tough on this. Pop 102 as well. This is sort of like rookie season for Christian Pulisic. It's a 2016-2017 release, so I like it a lot. Probably could have gone a little harder at it, but ultimately it went for a decent price, I felt. I got a raw one back in the day for like $50, so a PSA 10 for 300 feels fair. Next to it, 2015 red patch from Lionel Messi out of 49, goes for 288, and then finally a PSA 9 Drogba for 288 as well. I looked that one up because I was just interested. This is always a sticker that stuck out to me in some sense or another. In terms of past comps, so the last one was almost a year ago for 168, so a little bit, quite a bit of a boost there. Before that, 145 on a best offer, 162, 250, 171, all the way back to 2 to 300 in 2022 to 2023. Of course, at one point in time, it was much higher, 700, 800, 400, 500, tons of higher sales, but ultimately up a good bit off of the floor on that sticker, at least so it seems. And now we go to page 1, and here we are on page 1. Did have a win this week that we'll talk about in a second. We start with the Swirl-O-Rama Lionel Messi PSA 10 for 300, pop 1 to 13 out of 2016 Donruss. Next to it, 2016 VIP National Convention Pulsar. That is purple as well. Cristiano Ronaldo out of 50, PSA 10 for 312. My one win of the night that we'll be talking about was the 1970 Panini Blue and Red Bank Gerd Muller in a PSA 5 for 312. Pop 1 of 2, none higher. Granted, PSA 5, ultimately, once it's all said and done, once more these are graded, at least for Pele at this current moment, sort of a mid-grade in terms of unstuck stickers. You would imagine more of these are stuck than unstuck. But these were the backs that came with the album, so there were 4 stickers that came in the album. The blue and red backs are those stickers. It's the most rare by a good margin for the 1970 Panini World Cup release, and that's the first World Cup for Panini stickers, so felt like a big one for me. 312 didn't seem like a crazy price, so I was happy to do it. I do have a Pele that I got really cheap that stuck, but it had a nice removal, so the Pele is the only one I've had up until this point, so I was happy to go ahead and add a pretty notable player next to him there with the Gerd Muller and a PSA 5. Above it, we have a PSA 9 Cristiano Ronaldo 2004 Panini sticker that goes for 324. That one is generally a hard grade given the black borders, just not going to be easy. Next to it, take your pick between the 2018 Red Mosaic in a 10 and the 2014 Red and Yellow Pulsar in a 9.5, both going for the same price. You got to be a real prism head to have an opinion on that, because I don't really, so I'll just keep it moving. This one, maybe more of an opinion. We got the Green Flood Diego Maradona PSA 9 for 324 and the MAGA for 324. Weird thing is like, personally as a collector, I love the MAGA. I think it's a great looking sticker. Maradona doesn't have a ton of Barca Days stuff, given that was a short stint, so I like it. But at the same time, I do think that the Flood wasn't like a crazy price compared to what people are paying for the other Floods. I thought that this, especially where it was going into extended bidding, I think it was closer to 200, but even at this price, it seems like a possible flip, and it also has almost double the watchers, which again is like a pure collector type thing. If I had to hold one to the grave, I'd take the MAGA for sure. I'm not trying to, personally collect 40 years after their playing career, but at the same time, for a flip, I think 324 is not crazy on that one. As a flip, I wouldn't feel as good paying 324 for the MAGA, so it's just an interesting spot to be in. TAA PSA 10 Kaboom for 360 from 2023 Donruss. Above that, 7.5 Baggio from the 85 Calciatore set. This goes for 372. Prior comps, as we can see, 252, 312, 384, and then 780 back in the day. In terms of the price, it's decent, clearly up from some of the prior sales, but at the same time nowhere near the all-time high, but that's the way a lot of soccer is. There was a bit of a mania at times, especially on certain stuff, so 372 there feels decent. We have a 2023 Erling Haaland Auto for 372, a PSA 1092 Bassett & Co. Giggs going for 384 there, a high-grade rookie of him that is doing decent as well. Of course, again, as you can see, there have been higher sales for sure, 690, 870, 670, some pretty high sales back in the day, to be fair. Sort of pre-boom, this was 120 to 150 bucks. Now you're looking at 384. Last sale was a couple years ago for 262, so up like 50% after not selling for a long while. Above it, Baggioli Pele with tab. PSA 4 goes for 384, always sort of a standout in terms of the color. We got the Messi Showcase, second-year Showcase out of 99 gold for 408. Again, I'm a little bit of a simp for the early Showcase cards, so, at least to me, the way I sort of see it, if you're willing to pay 5 to 10 grand for a 2017 Chrome Messi, why not pay $400 for a 2016, not Chrome, just base tops. I know people don't like paper anymore. It's all about the shiny, but there was a point in time where shiny and paper wasn't, all that different in people's heads. Granted, I know people love the 2017 Chrome, but I'm always sort of the opinion of if you like the 2017 Chrome, why not like them all? But you got to draw the line somewhere. I get it. 408 there doesn't seem terrible. 432 on this Lamine Yamal patch out of 75 from Topps Museum. Above it, this Mega Cracks Neymar for 444. We've seen some of these go. He's got a few different Mega Cracks cards from the early Barca days. And this one goes for around the same price the other ones were going for. PSA 9 sell anywhere from like $30 to $70, so pretty decent premium for the 10 for sure. We have a Blue Aqua Vapor Wave Lamine Yamal out of 250 for 492, along with a Pele Bisvelita back for 504 and a PSA 5. A 1/1 Christian Pulisic patch for 540. Next to it, we have a JNF Bell Rise back from 1902 and a PSA 4 that goes for 540, along with a Green Ball Lionel Messi out of 25 from 2015 Donruss, first year Donruss. Took a look just to see where this is going. PSA 10 for 690, PSA 7 for 200, so the grading adjustment, doesn't quite seem there. I don't know. A 7 usually is nowhere near like 3x the price of a 10. Other way around, but you get what I'm saying. A 9 lasted $350. So, if you like the 10, if you like paying grading premiums, it seems like it didn't do a massive grading premium. Back in the day, pre-boom, when this was coming out, anywhere from $70 to $90, maybe $120 at times. So it's up, but it's not up massively, which, for most Messi stuff it is, especially like Messi serial numbered stuff. We have above it a 2023 Topps Merlin Blue Lamine Yamal, chosen ones out of 75 for 690, along with the Pele and Mbappe. This was a decent auto. Most of these autos from the 2021 set are just brutal to look at, but this one's actually decent. That goes for 780. Yeah, this guy. So 2024 Topps Chrome Superfractor. I'm going to go with Nikolai Stanciu. I gave it a shot. I don't know. Pop 1/1. Of course, goes for 780 there, which seems like a decent number. I don't know much about the man, but that doesn't seem bad. Above it, Mega Cracks here, a 2023 Lamine Yamal PSA 10 for 810. I was interested if this was, up, down from the game yesterday, or, yeah, was yesterday. I was wondering when you guys will view this. Maybe it's a few days ago, but all-time high. So despite the loss, it goes even higher. Interesting, to say the least, but 810 on that one. Doesn't seem too crazy, or actually does seem a little crazy. Card ladder value has it at 740, so apparently they think it's down, but the bidder on this says otherwise. 810 on that one. We have 960 on this PSA 8 1982 Panini World Cup sticker Maradona, first World Cup for Maradona there, and a pretty high grade. Goes for a good number. Took a look, and past comp 600, 630, 930, 475. Goodness, someone got just robbed on that one. 900, 600, 500. So it kind of, bounces around here between 500 and 1,000. But 1,000 is definitely on the higher end. Again, if you go further back, it'll be higher. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, seems like a decent sale overall. Michel Platini, this also seems like a decent sale. 1,020 for Michel Platini. I guess we can look at sales comps just for a second. PSA 1, $100. PSA 5, $1,700. Sorry, I said PSA 5. That's PSA 7. PSA 8, $3,000. PSA 3 for $360. PSA 1, $5 for $280. So like some of they're just kind of random prices. It seems PSA 5 for $1,200. Some seem high, some seem low. I would definitely say that this one seems high at 1,020, but it does also seem like they're just generally up a good bit from their floor. There was a time where a lot of these were coming out in high grade. Doesn't feel so as much anymore, and maybe that's playing a factor here. Also looks really good. It's a really nice copy in terms of color, borders, corners. I thought it looked really nice for a 4. Maybe that's someone else's thinking as well. Above it, a Buffon Topps Dynasty for 1,020 here in a PSA 10. Next to it, you have a Ronaldinho BGS 6 for 1,100, which I think I looked up. I don't know if I kept it up. Okay, I closed it. But the only other comps we had were like 1,000 and 1,100 as well, so it's sort of like right in the range where the other two comps were. We have a 94 El Mundo Deportivo R9 for 1,200. which again was sort of in the range of those comps. I think it's up a little bit. Some of the comps were drifting as low as like, 8, 9, maybe 1,000 at times, so 1,200 is not too shabby. Above it, a Saim Pele cardboard back, SGC 6.5 goes for 1,300, along with a Baggio Velita back, PSA 6 for 1,600, nearly 1,700. Look that one up, and it seemed like a deal if you're in the market for, super high grade Pele, which is also a pretty desirable card, generally speaking. Pop 1 of 1, ungraded higher, goes for 1,700. In terms of comps, we've seen a PSA 5 with presumably the normal back going for 1,600. PSA 2 MK for 750, PSA 5 for 1,200, PSA 2 for 2,100. I don't know what that's about. Beautifully centered. I don't know. All to say, that seemed like a decent deal if you were in the market. It is OC, at least so it looks. Maybe there's something else there I'm missing, but 1,600 doesn't seem crazy at all, especially if you're someone hunting the highest graded Pele's, trying to put some set registry stuff together. That seems like a fun one. Out of 125, light blue laser Messi goes for 1,800 and a PSA 10 from 2018 Prism. Did look this one up, and this was, I don't know if it was all-time high, but it was definitely higher than a lot of the other sales we're seeing. So yeah, I guess all-time high was 3,000 or 4,000 back in 2022. But other than that, you see 1,200 pretty quickly after, 1,300, and it's just anywhere between like 1,000 and 1,500 for a long time. So seeing 1,800 on auction's a pretty good sign, I would say, for that card. Next, we have a few GOATs, maybe. I don't know if you count Mbappe in the GOATs, but potentially. We have a PSA 10 Ronaldo 2017 Revolution auto for 1,800. Seems like a decent price for a sticker Revolution unnumbered auto, but I guess it is pop 1 of 1, so I'm sure that plays a factor. Then we have a PSA 10 Kylian Mbappe foot for 1,900. Those are certainly down from all-time highs, but they've been lingering around 2K for a bit, so I don't think it's a drastically low sale. We also have a Monday Chromo Messi PSA 9 for 2K. Those are typically anywhere from 1,500 to 2K, so that's definitely on the higher end, I would say. I'm sure on some eBay bins every now and then they go over 2K, but in terms of auction prices, usually 1,500 to 2,000. Above it, Topps Crystal Lamine Yamal for 2,070, PSA 10. We have a 2018 Cristiano Ronaldo auto here out of 25 from Topps Chrome, going in a PSA 10 for 2,200, along with a Messi Gold Field Level PSA 10 for 2,300. Thought these were interesting in terms of which one you'd rather have. Personally, I'd probably take the Gold Field Level. I think that's a fun one. I'm sort of a Select guy. Field Level is also generally the desired card within Select as well, and Gold, Messi, PSA 10, hard to go wrong with that. People generally don't like the Topps Chrome autos, and I sort of get it. Also, Juve Kit Ronaldo, which isn't beloved by many. Above it, treble gold, Kylian Mbappe for 2,500, pop 1 of 2, just 2 higher. I did look this one up, and ultimately, I guess it seems light in terms of the grade, but at the same time, it seems relatively fair. The last 8.5 sold for 2,500 a couple years ago, so it's basically right at that price again, so it hasn't dropped, but the sales around it, seem a little high, I guess, in terms of lesser grades. You would assume raw are definitely a little worse off than an 8.5. An 8.5 in treble's pretty good. So seeing raw sales at 2,000, 2,300, BGS 8 there. A raw sale here for 4,500. We always have to wonder about that. Ultimately, it seems like a fair sale, but doesn't seem like a strong sale. Always, can look back at pre-boom and see that this was anywhere from 70 to a couple $100. The Mbappe's got a little bit more steam on it pre-boom, given that it was sort of a pseudo-rookie of some sort. 1958 Aquarella. This actually goes over 1,000 a grade. Generally, it's near 1,000 a grade, but a little lower. This one's actually over at 2,600 there. Along with that, a blue and red back Pele for 2,600 here. A PSA 7. This was a pretty low sale. The cut's a little wonky, I guess. Just looking at it from afar, the back looks decent. So, in terms of pricing, we'll look at it. The PSA 7 red and blue seemingly went pretty cheap. Last PSA 7 went for 3,800, and there was a PSA 7 before it for 6,000. So I think some of these early sales here were, pretty high given the grades, and ultimately some of these early sales, I believe, brought out more red and blue backs to get graded and subsequently sold. So we're probably seeing a little bit of a flush of that. At least that's my sort of thought process on the matter. Would love to hear yours if you have an opinion. Above it, couple 71 bisses here. You got a BGS 7.5 and a BGS 8 with a Pele 1 of 1 Obsidian smack dab in between. Not a whole lot to glean from this. The 71 bisses seem like fair prices. Not crazy by any means. And then a Pele 1/1 is always going to do a decent number. Seems a lot for a sticker, but at the same time, I get it. It's a 1/1. People love 1/1s. So it's just sort of the craze. It's what people like, and you're not going to get Pele autos. It's actually a pretty nice looking Pele auto as well. I'll give it that. And then finally, top row this week, we got the Barcelona greats. We got 2 Messis and a Lamine Yamal. The first Messi is a gold 2018 optic out of 3 for $4,900. We actually have a surprising amount of sales of this to look back at. A lot of them, which is weird. But we have 4,800, 9,000, 3,000, 10,000, and then 600, 900, 700. So pre-boom, it was actually pretty expensive still. Given it's a Messi auto out of 3 gold, it's always going to do a decent number, even pre-boom. 700, 800 pre-boom. And then after that, anywhere from 10K to 4K. It doesn't really make a lot of sense because you would think it's like a grading thing, but even here, these are the same exact grade. It might even be the same exact card, and that went for 9,300 and then 4,800, so it's just kind of weird. But ultimately, this seems like it's on the lower side of things, which... yeah, I mean, it's a PSA 9. Kind of seems to make sense to me. Then you have a PSA 8 Mega Cracks here, going for 9,600. Looked up the comp on that, and yeah, for some reason the Card Ladder site is not picking up on these sales, but this is actually a really high sale. Well, okay, it does have it here. It says last sold price is this, but whatever. This is actually the all-time high by a good bit. I didn't even notice that last night when I was looking at it. That's quite a bit up. So, yeah, over the last couple years, we're looking at a 73% increase on this card in particular. Started at 5.5K, and we're looking at nearly 10 now for a PSA 8, which is pretty impressive. Just interested. I didn't even look at this before, but how's the pop moving over time? About 2 years ago, what are we looking at 2 years ago? 98? Nearly 100. Now you're looking at 124, so there's about 1 a month coming into the pop report, which I think there's more than one person a month probably looking for a 71 bis, so I think that works out in our favor. But yeah, ultimately that's a pretty decent increase there, and I was going to say all-time high, but that's certainly not the case. I do wonder what it topped out at now that I'm just thinking about it. So PSA 8 all-time high was 19.6, so we're about half the all-time high. 2021 was something else, man. But at least for me, it was kind of a bad time because I didn't have Messi rookies at this time, and that was pretty depressing seeing those prices. So ultimately, the fall off and the run that we're seeing now was good if you're a collector, if you're someone that actually wanted cards and was willing to buy despite the lower prices that we were seeing. And then finally, we have this Contra Lamine Yamal and a PSA 10 that sold for $10.5 thousand and tops this weekly. So there you go. Despite the loss, Lamine Yamal still going strong. The last sale, the only sale of a Contra was I think it was a PSA 10 that sold in January for 1,800, something of the likes. So, yeah, it's up a good bit. I think he's doing all right despite the loss. It's going to be okay, but I guess time will tell. We'll see. Looking at next week, though, we'll see what we got going on in terms of next week's auction. We start with the PSA 8 71 bis, already super high again. People seemingly protecting this card or making sure it does pretty well, already at 9K there, which again is near the relative high. Got a gold Lamine Yamal Select, PSA 5 71 bis, a Ronaldo Messi auto, a Messi auto here. 1/1 from 2017 Chrome with a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, which is a fun one. We got a black laser auto here, a Sold the Game Harry Kane. 1/1 Gavi, a gold Lukaku, a Messi auto. Not a crazy week, but also I'm sure there's some fun stuff to be had in between. So that's going to be it for the auction review this week. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. As always, would love to hear your thoughts down below in a comment. Something you might snag, something you thought sold high or low, would love to hear it. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.